Baloch are fed up of Pakistan. The Baloch has never been part of the Pakistani state.
What is the aim according to you?
The Pakistani forces must leave Balochistan. The Balochistan should be given its freedom, and the Baloch are struggling to get that at any cost. The Baloch Liberation Army might bring the demand of Pakistani military leaving the Balochistan fully. Balochistan produces gas which goes from Dera Bukti to Punjab to Sindh, another part of Pakistan, but there's no gas services in Balochistan in most of the part of Balochistan. There is anger for the Chinese and in Balochistan because the power in Pakistan is military.
Of course.
But if someone says otherwise, they're just fooling themselves. So
Hello, you're watching India Today Global with me, Ishita Mitra, and the biggest news we're covering today comes from Pakistan, the Baloch hijacking. Now, Pakistan's southwestern province of Balochistan has been on a boil for a few months now, but today the situation escalated with a fresh attack. The train travelling from Quetta to Peshawar was hijacked by Balochistan Liberation Army. The attack was carried out by Majid Brigade, STOS and Fateh Squad. Now these are specialized units of the BLA. As of now, around 182 people have been taken hostage and at least 20 Pakistani military personnel have died. Now, BLA has issued a very clear warning saying that there will be severe consequences and all hostages will be executed if Pakistani military attempts to approach the hostages or conducts a military operation. So, joining me now is Hakeem Baloch. He's a spokesperson of Baloch National Movement's Foreign Department. He's been living in UK. In exile, he left Pakistan back in the year 2011. So, thank you, Mr. Baloch, for joining us here on India Today Global.
thank you very much for having me.
All right, now I want to begin by asking you about the hijacking incident. We know that incident took place a few hours in Pakistan, but I want to ask you, how did it unfold? And where does it stand right now?
So obviously, as for everyone and for us as well, it came as a shock in the morning when I woke up. I saw the news that there's this hijacking took place where the Jafar Express, which was going from Quetta to Peshawar, so somewhere in the region of Sibbi, Dadar, the train was hijacked, and the first news, the initial news which we saw was obviously, and that was directly from the BLA that they have hijacked the train and there are over 400 people. That includes over 100 military personnel. Until that time, there was no clarity of the number of obviously the people belong to the state military and intelligence agencies and the other passengers traveling there. Now, one thing which happened at the very start that the BLA announced that they are releasing all the women and children, and obviously those who are, not part of the military personnel.
Yeah.
So, and at the very moment, just before coming to this interview, I was reading a news shared by the one of the global news BBC in world. They mentioned that over 100 personnel confirmed by the senior military officials were traveling in that train this morning.
All right. Now, Hakeem, you are the voice of Baloch people. The group has not put forward any demands so far. But if you could tell our viewers, what is the aim according to you? What is the goal that the group tries to achieve, is trying to achieve through this hijacking?
They the aim, I would say, or the motive behind this attack or any attack of any Baloch militant organization, in this case, the Baloch Liberation Army, which carried out this, I would say, unprecedented attack. This has never happened
Yeah,
in the history of Balochistan, where, a train has been hijacked and it's like
exactly. It's a
over
massive
seven
attack
or
of
8 hours.
100 personnel in hostage.
182 to
Yeah,
be
exactly.
exact by the Baloch Liberation Army. So it's going on for like 8 hours now. Now the reason why these attacks are happening and why this attack has happened or why BLA has gone to the length, is It's very simple. The Baloch are fed up of Pakistan. The Baloch has never been part of the Pakistani state, or in that case, the part of the subcontinent. When the Britain came, and then when they left the region, they divided India, created Pakistan, and then there was Balochistan, which was divided in three parts. Then the part which was a free country, the Kalat state,
Yeah.
that was given to Pakistan in the plate. And it was an unfortunate event under the supervision of the international powers, especially the Great Britain, that happened, that Balochistan was given to Pakistan as a colony, and from that day till now, Baloch has been resisting, and the demand is very clear. The Pakistani forces must leave Balochistan. The Balochistan should be given its freedom, and the Baloch are struggling to get that at any cost.
All right, as you mentioned that what Baloch people seems to be fed up with the Pakistani state, and this is not a rare incident. We have seen, a string of attacks being carried out by BLA in the past 1 year, and of course there has been retaliation from the government of Pakistan as well. So from what I see, and also our global viewers, there seems to be two angles to these stories. First, as to what's happening on the ground, we have seen Pakistan's government taking, at least reports of Pakistan's government, taking a lot of actions against civilians in the region. We have seen reports of missing people, people being abducted, people being killed. This one angle. There's another angle that has got to do with the economics of the region. So a lot of people claim in Balochistan that it is a very resource-rich region, but the benefits that come out of that region are not shared with the people of the region, right?
Mhm.
So, if you could
Yeah,
go ahead and explain to our viewers, A, what is the economics angle of the Balochistan issue at large? Because, of course, you explained the historical angle before.
yeah.
And also, currently, because you've been in touch with the Baloch people on ground, what is the situation of people on the ground when it comes to, the response from the Pakistan's government?
This is a very good point which you raised. Now, the Baloch, only just take it from today, from this morning up until now, the Baloch Liberation Army has released from morning till now around four different statements. And in two statements, this organization has clearly stated that women and children has been released by the organization. They're going, towards the secure regions, and they were not even hostage from the very beginning. But on the other hand, the Pakistani state media, the Pakistani state itself, the ISPR, they are claiming that the Baloch Liberation Army is still holding the women and children as hostages. Now, this is a very dangerous situation because they might target some of them civilian, and then they can put the blame on the Baloch Liberation Army, which has happened in the past as well. Now, the other repercussions, obviously, what can happen in Balochistan, and it is already happening. And when it's come to targeting the civilian, it is a tactics used by the Pakistani state as a norm, as it is a collective punishment to target the families of the Baloch activists, to target the political voices who are struggling, to get to support the missing persons and their families, and demanding their rights, demanding the basic rights, and above all demanding what is their right, and what is their own share on their land. Let's say Balochistan produces gas which goes from Dera Bukti to Punjab, to Sindh, another part of Pakistan, but there's no gas services in Balochistan, in most of the part of Balochistan. Balochistan produces coal, Balochistan produces oil, Balochistan produces other minerals like, the marble, copper, but the Baloch people do not have them in their possession. The Pakistani state and those international powers supporting the Pakistan, in this case, let's say China, is getting benefit out of it, be it the Gwadar port and other
Or the CPEC?
resources. Yes, the CPEC, it is a great example where we see that the Baloch people were forced to migrate from the roots of the CPEC. Their small huts and villages were, burned down to ashes because, according to the Pakistani state and the Chinese, these people are living on the route where we are going to, take the China-Pakistan economic corridor, and those people are the owner of that land. And if you continue with this brutality, there will be retaliation, there will be resistance, there will be, all forms of resistance, be it political movement, which we are seeing on the streets of Balochistan, from Gwadar to Turbat to Quetta to, Karachi and other part of Balochistan, and going all the way to Islamabad, that the Baloch people are protesting. And on the other hand, we are seeing the lethal attacks from Baloch Liberation Army, the other organizations such as Balochistan Liberation Front, and then they have this, umbrella organization which is called BRAS, which is also a very strong and tactful organization, and we have seen a lot of, lethal attacks from them as well. So that's like a situation where Baloch are at the minute, and the Pakistani state is trying to justify their brutalities because I know that attack which are getting intensified by the Baloch organization, but even still, those are attack for the defense of their motherland. They are not the occupying force, they are the defenders. So it has to, must understand the Baloch are fighting to defend themselves.
All right. You mentioned China's role, and we have seen a lot of attacks targeting Chinese nationals have also taken place in Pakistan in the last few years. So, how does the community on ground look at China's role?
There is anger for the Chinese and in Balochistan especially because if you look at the Gwadar, their livelihood was fishing. It is a town of the fishermen where they would go, to the sea, just do fishing, come back, and then sell those and just live their life. And there was not much in that region, anyways, but they had a way of running their families. They had a way to making some money out of it and just live a normal life. It was not a best life, it was not a luxurious life, it was just a basic life. So with China's presence in Gwadar, one of the things which happened was obviously the fishermen were barred from going to the sea. Now, if they have to go through many military checkposts, and they are not allowed when any Chinese is in the area to, go for the fishing. Now, that's the hub of obviously China-Pakistan Economic Corridor,
Yeah.
which is Gwadar. And people in that region are not happy. They are angry, they are resisting, they're protesting, they are always on the street. And if you talk to them, you would see the anger. They're not even hiding the anger anymore because the Pakistani army might, abduct them, might target them. It used to be like this, that the Pakistani state would pressurize people, would threaten the common people, and they would just go silence. But they're not silence anymore, and they're talking about all the international, companies or the countries, those who are supporting Pakistan,
Hmm.
and they're making it very much clear that without our interests, without the, Baloch's point of view being put forward, without the consent of the people of Balochistan, these projects won't succeed.
All right. See, Mr. Baloch, we've talked about how dissent is crippled in the region. The region is economically discriminated against by the Pakistan's government. There are also reports of missing people and people being killed. We've talked about that site. Now, I want to ask you, barely going ahead and taking such steps, there are always collateral damage. The chances of that happening a lot in this case as well. So, how do you look at this? Do you think there is no scope left for the community to try the diplomatic channel with the government?
Uh, uh, and again, we have to go back to the history. So, if we start from the 1948, the Baloch were always the people who tried the diplomatic terms.
Yes.
Even though Pakistan was the occupying power, the Baloch leader Mir Khosrokh Bizinjo, who was the first man who stood against this, occupation in the Kalat parliament, but he was the first one joined the political dialogue and started, political party within the framework of Pakistan. And so along the Nawab Akbar Khan Bukti, Nawab Khair Bakhshmari, Sardar Ataullah Mengal, all of them was part of this, political system. They try to talk to these military, because the power in Pakistan is military.
Of course.
If someone says otherwise, they're just fooling themselves. So they always try to deal with them in a political way, in a peaceful way, in a diplomatic way. Up until today, there's no seriousness from the side of Pakistan. Now, you made a point about the collateral damage. What the BLA says this morning, if you bring any force against us, we are going to, eliminate or target or kill those hostages. What Pakistani state is doing, it is doing exactly opposite of what they should be doing to negotiating with them. They're not negotiating, they're sending more troops. And we have already heard the news that the Baloch Liberation Army has forced the ground forces of Pakistan to step back, and now they're using, the Air Force. When I say Air Force, by I mean they're attacking them using the
See,
I
BLA
yes,
has taken about 182 people hostage. So, what
yes.
Pakistan's government does in response, of course, even if the threat exists, there can be a military action to that as well. But I understand your concerns. Now, I want to ask you, coming to actually Pakistan government's action, how do you think the Pakistan government has been responding to the crisis so far? We have seen about 8 hours now. And of
Yeah.
course, how do you think it will respond? Do you think there will be some scope, some room for diplomatic channel, for diplomatic engagement to happen?
From the point of view of the Pakistani government,
Yes.
I don't think anything has so far has happened which give you a sign of diplomacy there, because what they're doing is they're just rereading the propaganda of the Pakistani military. Now, this is a very serious situation. Now,
Yeah.
it is not just the no, common folks. I know they don't care about them, but this time the Baloch Liberation Army has over 180 military personnel. So they have to come to a dialogue. They have to come to a point where they must talk, a sense. There must be and in past, I remember it was last year when BLA had captured some of the military personnel. They given the Pakistani military this opportunity to release the Baloch prisoners, to release the Baloch people who are in their dungeons, in their torture cells, and we will release the military personnel. The Pakistani military
So, do you think
did
this
not
will be the
even
demand
bother
of the
to.
group?
This might be one of the demand, but obviously, if they have like a proper negotiation, proper diplomatic, talks there, the Baloch Liberation Army might bring the demand of Pakistani military leaving the Balochistan fully,
All
because
right.
they're in the cities as well. So they should not be in the cities. There's no need of a military in the city where the people are living. They can go to the bordering areas, and then obviously, a broader diplomatic discussion can continue from there.
All right, thank you, Mr. Baloch, for joining us on India Today Global and giving us an overview of what the situation is right now in Pakistan with regards to the hijacking incident and, of course, what the community on the ground wants. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Stay tuned to India Today Global, where we'll continue this coverage for you.